Welcome to Challenge to Champion, episode 1. Deciding on a topic was something that would have previously kept me from doing something and from taking action. But recently I decided I will not let that happen again. And by just taking action, not even knowing who my guests will be, what my topics are, any of these points will not stop me from doing this podcast. A lot of talks with my wife and friends. After that, I've decided the type of conversations I would be having and the type of topics that I would be speaking about. I think for me to be able to do that, it would be best for me to introduce myself properly and give you a bit of background about where I come from, how did my upbringing look, the interests I have and had, the things I've done and the places I've been. I think when talking about this topic, who is Leroux Meyer, it is a real difficult subject because we don't like to say it, but we place a lot of value on not who we are but what we do. That was previously how I defined myself. I defined myself as a hunter, a sportsman, a motocross rider, an adventure bike rider. And that was how I defined myself, how I would describe myself. And the problem with that is the moment that gets taken away, what is left? Who are you then? This problem of actually connecting what we do to who we are is actually what I think it's ourselves. It's a problem for ourselves, because with talks with my friends, they have told me, no, Leroux, this is not how we see you. This is not, we don't connect who you are by what you do. We connect it to the type of person that you are, the caring or the knowledgeable or it's all intangible things. But I think the most difficult part is the internal struggle, because I connected who I am to all of those things that I did. And I think that is a mistake, and that has given me a lot of introspection as to who I really am and who I want to be and how I want to become that. So yeah, that's just a bit of a tangent to start off the conversation, but let me give you a bit of background as to where I grew up and what I did and how I came to who I am today. So I think the story starts with me being brought up in a small town. That's a town in Mpumalanga, Secunda, and it is a small town, and I think that plays quite a big role in who you become and it shapes your total upbringing. I wasn't in a res or a koshuis in the Afrikaans term. I think that also plays a massive role, because those are your forming years. I think like between the ages of 12 and 18, there's a lot of important things that happen, and the people who have a say in your life dictate what's going to happen. So I was brought up in a small town, Secunda, and I did what small town kids do. We go to school in the morning, and your day actually starts after school. We had a lot of sports always. I was a big sportsman. I was always doing sports. In the start of the year, I would do athletics, and then in the say from March or April, I would do rugby, and that would continue through most of the winter till maybe September or so, and that would basically consist of the sports that I would be busy with in school. But there was also an external part from school, and I don't think a lot of people know this, but I was really into music. This started at about the age of 12, and I started playing drums for the church, and that became a massive pushing force in my life, and that would dictate a lot of decisions that I made after school and even in school from the ages of 16 to about 18. I don't think I was the best student, although I did quite well in school. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't like being there. I just wanted to make music, and I thought that would be my career going forward. The fact is, you don't really know. You never know. Even what I think I know now, in 2 years' time, that will change. So I finished my schooling. I pushed through and kept going with that. And I decided I would take a gap year. I didn't know what to study. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And in that gap year, I decided to do music as my studies. I entered it's a type of an online course. People were teaching it there from Centurion, SAMI, South African Music Institute. And you basically sign up and they decide or what level they can enter you into to be able to get a qualification for that level of ability. So I was entered that year for grade 8 practical on drums and grade 4 theoretical on piano, or actually grade 5 on piano. And that is just to get the theory of music. And I think in that year I did a lot of shows, I played with a lot of bands, and I just realized I had a bit of an epiphany. And I just realized I'm not going to be able to build the life that I want to build being in that career. Because I could see the teachers and the mentors that I had at that stadium and the type of life that they were able to have is not that was not the way that I wanted to live. So I decided I need something that can sort out the financial problems. And I think a big part of that dictated my next move. And since I was a young boy, my father always had an extra property or a side property or something other than the house that we stayed in. And that was always a source of income, but always something that always kept him busy with and kept him creative. He needed to think, what are we going to do here? How are we going to change this? How are we going to add value to something? So I think that played a big role in the direction I decided to go. After that, I went to study at Tux. This was in 2012. I thought I wanted to do construction management. It's a BSc, but I was not a good student. I was not committed. I don't think my type of thinking works with that type of teaching. I'm practical. I think it maybe would have suited me more to go to a place like TUT, more of a technicon, where you could do practicals and where you can physically do what you are being taught. I think that would have suited my style of learning a lot better. As you can hear from the story, it didn't turn out good. I was there for about 2.5 years. I probably only have about 1.5 years worth of studies behind me. And I think at that stage, we were busy with me and my brother and my father. We were into properties a bit. We bought a commune in Pretoria, in Menlo Park, which we renovated, just getting someone, a bit of a construction guy, and him helping us out to build this commune. And I think that got us thinking, listen, this could be something that we can do. And that was while I haven't studied. This was during my first year of studies. Shortly after doing the commune, we thought, listen, this is really something that we can do. We should search for more of these properties. And that led us to buying the first flip property that we bought in 2013. And that was 2 properties on one site, which we then thought we can subdivide it, renovate both properties. We actually paid for one and we sold 2. And I think that was quite a big turning point in my life story, especially in my career. And at that moment, we renovated, we made good money off of the one property, and that actually paid for everything. So the second property was mostly profit. I did all this together with my father and my brother, and that was without any background or any certification, if I can say so. So that got us thinking, and as the studies weren't going well, my brother came to me with the idea, and he said, listen, why don't we just do this? I mean, there's a lot of guys out there selling you things and selling you ideas or services. They're not qualified at all. I think experience qualifies you. And that made a lot of sense to me. And that's when I started thinking, maybe I should just leave the studies and just start doing it. Wherever we needed something that needed certification or any qualification, we'll just rent in someone to do that job or to give that certification or qualification. And I think that allowed us to just start, just take action. We don't have to wait for anything. And that is when we started a company called Big Pond. That was in 2014, Big Pond Properties. And we started doing small renovations and all small renovation jobs and addition jobs on properties, and renovating a kitchen and a bathroom and that type of thing. And we did that for 4 years. And that was also a big learning curve, because we made almost no money because we underquoted to get the jobs, and we didn't really know how it worked. It was a big learning school, but I can attest to that is really a good way to go about it. You will learn hard lessons and you will pay for those lessons, but you will learn. And that is the way which studies couldn't help me learn. I couldn't learn in that way. So at that stage, we did 4 years of renovation jobs until we finally got fed up, and we realized for you to really make money, you need to be an owner. Because we would do additions, or we would renovate a house's bathrooms and kitchen for a customer, say charging them 300,000, but the value that we added to that property would have a value of, say, 700,000. So maybe for us, we made a 50 or 70,000 rand profit, but the owner of that property has about an increase of 400,000 in equity in the property. So that's when we decided this is the way which we will obtain wealth. This is how we will build a business. We're going to buy properties, add value, give them value with our knowledge and our skills, and then in that way we sell it on again for a profit. So that leads me to 2018, when we decided we're going to go full-time into house flipping. And of course, it's also a bit of a learning school, and it's also something that guides you, and you learn as you go. We should do a little bit less of this, more of this. We should stop doing this. We should start doing this. And we have learned all those lessons. We are currently at the 41st property that we are flipping. So we have had success in this business. That is true. We have also built a couple of side businesses with this. We have built Big Pond Motion, which is this, which is videography and filming of properties. Then we have Big Pond Pixel, which is the rendering and the planning side of the construction work. Then we also have Big Pond Curated, which is a furniture department where we stage all our properties to get them ready for sale. So the main umbrella of Big Pond Property has allowed us to build this tree of companies which all help each other and they work together. That's a big thing that me and my brother Henny have thought about, the way in which we build a business. Everything we do, we want to tie in together, and if we pay a lot of money in that business to outsource something, that's when you start thinking, should we maybe bring this in-house, employ someone who can do it. scratch an itch for ourselves, and also then at the later stage offer this service to other people. If we need it, other people need it as well. So that is the construction part and the day job part of my life. Since I was in school, most of my friends had motorbikes, and that was a big draw in my life. I really wanted to have a motorbike and ride motorbikes. I don't know, that has always just been something since I saw it. I think it's the freedom. I think it's maybe the bit of badassness that a motorcycle gives you, or that you see in someone who drives a motorbike. There's just a bit of a carelessness and a being free, which really pulled me in. And as soon as I left my parents' house, because they said I shouldn't have a motorcycle, they did buy me a small motorcycle in school, like a commuting motorcycle, but you couldn't really do anything with it except for go from place to place, but which helped a lot. So the second I started studying music, and I had a part-time job at Virgin Active as instructor, and that allowed me to buy my first motorcycle, and that was just amazing. I bought a Kijiva 125 motorcycle, and that gave me freedom. It was just amazing. I redid the motorcycle and traded it for another one. Then I went into a bit of off-roads, traded that up, traded again, and did a lot of deals just to get the better ones. And then a strange thing happened, because I was into the off-road motorcycles and I enjoyed that a lot, but I wanted to explore. I wanted to be free. And I remember it very well. We were doing the August, me and my father and my wife and my brother and his wife. We were all riding the August cycle tour. I think that's what they call it. So it's like a bike race in Cape Town, where you go through the whole point of Cape Town, come back up. And I remember it vividly. We were on Chapman's Peak, pedaling out Chapman's Peak, and my legs were cramping, and it was real difficult. I didn't train at all for this event, and that's the type of guy that I was at that stage. I didn't train at all. I thought, I'm good enough, I'm fit enough, I'll be able to do it without any practice. And that is like a 97-kilometer race. So that's just being arrogant. So I did that race, and during the climb on Chapman's Peak, I thought, why would you do this? Why would you do this to yourself? Put yourself through so much strain and effort and sweat and cramps. And as I was thinking that, I just looked around and I thought, okay, it makes sense. It's for this amazing view. You would do that for this amazing view. And as I looked to my right, I saw a guy on a motorcycle with a cameraman at the back, and I thought, that guy is doing absolutely no effort and he's seeing exactly what I'm seeing. So he also has the same view and he has the same result, but I have to work so much harder for that. And I realized there's a lot of people that do it for different reasons, especially cycling and so on. But my reason was it was adventurous, it was exploring, it was seeing something new, it was freedom. And I think that is what I was chasing. So the next week when I got home, I went out and I bought a BMW motorcycle, because that would show me the world. That would show me South Africa, it would show me Africa. And that is what it did. We did motorcycle tours from the bottom through Cape Town, through the whole of the North Cape, Northern Cape. We toured this country in a lot of ways. We went to Lesotho, we went to Botswana twice, from the bottom to the top of Botswana, doing off-roading, doing long road miles. We did everything, and that was at this stage, the most amazing part of my life thus far. And that brings me to just past COVID. I sold my BMW motorcycle and I bought KTM. I bought something that is a bit more aggressive, a bit more off-road, and that is what it was. We did a couple of tours to KwaZulu-Natal during lockdown, and then after lockdown we planned a trip where we would go to George, and then from George go tour the bikes to Knysna. From Knysna we would go to Jeffreys, then we would do Baviaanskloof, and we would do all those amazing routes and trails. And that was something that I was really excited about. I've done it before, but together with two of my best friends, that was just an amazing trip that we were planning. And on the first morning of this trip, we left George at about 8 o'clock. We went to Knysna, and in Knysna you get a little road, it's called the Coast to Karoo. And on that Coast to Karoo road we were driving and stopping and taking pictures and taking videos as everyone was driving by. Well, everyone, we were three guys. And the last thing that I can remember is I took a video of the guys riding past, and then I got on my bike again and we said, listen, we have to go really far today, so let's not stop again, let's just go. And as I started my motorcycle again, I needed to turn off the traction control and the ABS as we were riding on a dirt road. So I was not speeding at all. I was riding maybe about 50-60 kilometers an hour, and just paying attention to the cluster of the motorcycles like a little dashboard. And I was looking at how do I set this just to turn off the ABS and the traction control. And the next thing I knew, I wake up lying on my back or quite sideways, looking at the trees above me and just hearing some sounds pass, come and go. And I would go in and out of consciousness the whole time. I didn't know what happened. But so the fact is, as I was looking at the dashboard of this motorcycle, it was just a slow left bend, and I went straight off the edge. Not fast or anything, maybe like 50 kilometers an hour. But on the way over the edge, I hit a couple of trees. I broke my clavicle, I broke my chest bone, I broke 4 of my vertebrae in my back, I broke 3 ribs here. I was badly hurt. And I will go into this story a bit in a bit more depth as we get into this podcast and get into this series. But there's a lot of miracles that happened that day. The fact that they could find me and find me fast enough to get me to hospital. I had internal bleeding. I was really injured really bad. And I had the amount of bone fragments and everything that was in my back and in my body could have easily gave me a lot of internal bleeding. It did, but they were able to resuscitate me and get me out of there and get me to a proper hospital really fast. And that wouldn't have happened if not for a miracle. I'm sure that the people that were there with me can attest to the same thing. So that has been by far the biggest changing point in my life. The fact that I broke my back, the fact that I'm in a wheelchair, the fact that I had to reevaluate who I am, who I want to be, who I want to become. And like I started this podcast with, who am I? How do I define myself? Because now I'm not a motorcyclist anymore. I'm not a sportsman anymore. I'm not an athlete anymore. I'm not a rugby player. I'm none of those things anymore. So now you start to search for, okay, so I'm not those things anymore. Who am I? And how do you find that guy inside of you? And what I think the answer to that question is, you don't find him, you create him, you build him. And I think after the accident, I became so aware of how I do things, how I speak to people, how I how I bring myself across. And I've tried to improve that a lot, because that's what I decided. This is who I am. The way that people interact with me, the thing that they think about when they think of me, I need to improve that. Can I bring value to someone else? Can I give some knowledge? Can I give some of my experience? And I think that has manufactured this person that I am today, and that I'm trying to strive to be. And that is the reason for this podcast. I think also filming this and me forcing myself to explain myself is forcing myself to think about it, and the thought of it helps me unravel the whole thing and just understand what's going on. I think in this journey, when we look back to the first episode, we will see a lot of growth. We will see a lot of inspiration. We will see a lot of change in who I am and who I will become. Because that is exactly why I'm doing this. I want to learn from people, and I want to learn from myself by expressing myself and by talking about all of these things and forcing myself to think about them deeply and trying to understand it. So I hope this gives a bit of background as to who Leroux is. I've had a lot of struggles, especially the last 2 years, 2.5 years. I do have an amazing wife, and that is a big part of my success, and a part to the fact that I can be positive, and a part of the fact that I can be able to talk about these things and express myself in this way. To have someone in your corner just cheering you on and telling you that you can do it, and that you know enough, you have something to give people. That is an immense positivity, and it's a really big thing to have that. And that is something that you should never take for granted if you have that person in your life. Be it a spouse, be it a brother, be it a father, be it a mother, any one of those. But having those people in your life is so extremely valuable. And the type of friends that I have in my life, I can never take that for granted. The way which I saw how important friendships are and connections are when I was going through a time of struggle, that is some of the most important things in life. So I want to increase my circle by bringing you guys along for the journey. I'm sure that in the next 2 years, my growth will be exponential to what it was the previous 2 years. So I want to document that, and I want to give that to you guys, and I want to do it for myself as well. But I want you guys to be able to learn together with me, and maybe learn something from me, and maybe give yourself some other perspectives, just seeing the world through someone else's eyes. And I really hope that can bring some positivity and some positive change to anyone and everyone out there. So this was just episode 1. And I'm really excited to start this journey, and I'm sure I will be making a lot of mistakes, and I will be saying some of the wrong things, and my opinion will change on a lot of things. But I needed to do this, and I needed to start this, and I needed to get this out. So please, if you find any value in this, please share it to your friends. That is where the benefit will be for me, if I can get the word out. And this is just the start of it. I will be having a lot of guests. I will be having a lot of inspirational people, successful people, driven people, people that want to do something with their life, not just go through life, but create something. And I hope this gives a positive note to your day. So this is the Challenge to Champion episode number 1. Welcome to it. And I hope you stay for the rest. Thanks a lot.